Game of Thrones, 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 Game of Thrones.
My body's ready.
Thrones, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones. Story, huh?
Guys, are you excited for season 5 of Game of Thrones?
Excited for all your smug book reader friends to laugh as you watch your favorite character's skull literally get pulverized?
Are you excited for all your newly smug TV watching friends to wink wink nudge nudge you while you're trying to read peacefully because they know what you're about to read before you read it?
Wait, really? Yes! Mama, yes! It's time for the show watchers to take control! That means that I can make a face while you're watching the show and you can be like, what's that face?
Or like, oh, are you at chapter 10? Let me just film you real quick.
God damn!
In the rivalry that shouldn't be, because we're all enthusiasts of the same Westeros,
I'll fucking kill you! I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do it. It's no George R. Martin times.
things are about to get a lot more even, for better or for worse.
We all know George is taking his sweet ass time writing A Song of Ice and Fire.
And the time he takes to write it is partially why the books are so good.
So we cry out for the new books. I mean, do your thing.
But this has put us fans in a precarious position.
You see, the HBO series based on the books is moving way faster than the books are being released. Why is that, George R. Martin?
Fuck you to those people.
And we know that the series creators have had secret meetings with George, so they're all on the same page as far as how the series is supposed to end. But that's totally okay, because the show has already deviated pretty far from the books. I mean, deaths where there are no deaths, huge character changes, plots that come from who knows where. The show's so different now that it won't spoil the books at all.
No. HBO showrunner David Benioff said to Oxford Union over the weekend, we'll eventually basically meet up at pretty much the same place where George is going. There might be a few deviations along the route, but we're heading towards the same destination. Kinda wish there were some things we didn't have to spoil, but we're kinda stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Grasping onto that eventually, basically, pretty much stuff.
Yeah. So if this upcoming season wraps up books 4 and 5, advantage book readers.
Ding! Will George finish The Winds of Winter and release it before season 6 of the show? He keeps hinting that the release will be summer 2015, which if that happens would still give the book readers a slight edge.
But if he doesn't, the show will go right on past him, and even if he does, there's no way George will be able to finish A Dream of Spring, which is book 7, within a year after that, which means the show will definitely have spoilers for the books. This is crazy, this changes everything, it's a game changer.
I know! So then the question becomes, do we watch the show and spoil the books for ourselves? Whereas the question used to be, do we read the books and spoil the show for ourselves? My, how the tables have turned.
Well. How the turntables...
Also, now that the show will have spoiled the ending, will that affect book sales when the last book comes out? And do you prefer the long, detailed descriptions you can get only in the books, or do you prefer the abridged, visually stunning version you can only get in the show with boobs?
Why can't we have both?
I know.
The boobs too. I love the world that Martin has created, and I'm dying to know what happens next, so I will probably just consume any and everything that gives me any answers whatsoever, whoever has it first. So
Look, I've always been a show watcher, but that doesn't mean I won't decide to go back at some future point and read the books. And personally, I don't think that's gonna affect sales, to be honest. The more fans out there in the world, the better, is what I say.
okay, let's hug it out.
All right, you feel better?
Yeah.
Me too.
So, do you guys think it's a good thing or a bad thing that the show is blazing forward in the Westerosi timeline? And are you planning on enjoying the series in both mediums or just one? Let us know in the comments. I need to learn to read faster, man.
And I need to read to learn faster, man.
Game of Thrones,
Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones.